Hello, everyone. Welcome to Peak Presence, Leadership Origin Stories. Today, I'm beyond excited for the guest I have. She is the co-founder of Courage Crafters and co-author of actually one of my favorite books that I've recently read, and I actually just read it for a second time, called Go for No. Yes is the destination. No is how you get there. Anyone in sales or business, really any sort of sales role, I highly, highly recommend this book. It's something that I learned to do prior to reading this book, but I still need it to this day because rejection is still a difficult thing for me to deal with. But for almost 2 decades, Andrea has been teaching people in virtually every business and industry how to think and feel differently about failure, rejection, and just the simple word no as a way to achieve their goals and dreams. The Go for No strategy has been featured in online and offline magazines and journals, including Success Magazine, Forbes, and many others. And today, Go for No is a well-known methodology in the world of sales and widely recognized as the singular best program that deals with rejection in business. And again, I cannot recommend this book enough to anyone that's in sales that would really want to kind of take their career to the next level. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend, Andrea.
Hey, TJ, so good to be with you.
You as well. You as well. We've talked quite a bit on LinkedIn, but it's,
Yeah.
now we get to talk face to face, and it's one of the miracles of technology now.
It's so cool, right? It's so cool.
And when it works, it works. I'm
Yeah.
glad it worked today. I often have issues because I'm not the greatest with it, but I am working at that. So I guess where I'd like to start, this book obviously has done extremely well, bestseller, and helped a lot of people and almost created an actual movement that's making a big impact in the business and sales world. Where was this idea born out of?
Yeah, so it was pretty uneventful actually. There's a story in the book about a guy who um learns the go for no secret, if you will, and that secret happened when he was selling suits for a living in a clothing store. His district manager watches him have this great sale and then asks
Mm.
this guy a question, which is, what did that customer say no to? Which made the guy reflect back on this great sale he had, and he realized that that customer never said no to anything, that everything that guy was selling him, everything he laid in front of him, the man purchased. And it was that revelation that actually happened to Richard, my husband and
Mm.
co-author. And I remember he would tell that story about how he learned to go for no, how he learned to not be afraid of no by having this district manager question him on, like, yeah, you had this great sale, you got all these yeses, but what did the customer say no to? And when I heard that, TJ, I was like completely blown away because I'm like, I had never thought of it that way. What did the customer say no to? You don't want no, you want yes. And so I just became like this advocate for it. Richard would tell it all the time and people would get great results. And we met, by the way, at Lens Crafters. So this is all happening at our corporate jobs at Lens Crafters. And then we finally he's like, hey, do you want to write a book with me? Do you want to, like, he wanted to be a speaker and have a business. And and I thought, you know what? I love this topic so much. I'm so passionate. Yes, let's do it. So we plotted for a while, quit our jobs, started our company, and the whole basis was on this idea. We did a lot of different kinds of training, don't get me wrong, but the fundamental idea is about rejection and about how no is the path to yes, basically.
And what was your profession at Lens Crafters? Were you involved in any type of sales?
Oh yeah, I had started as like a retail sales associate and worked my
Okay.
way up to I was a general manager, and I met Richard cuz he was one of the training directors with the company, and
Okay.
I had gotten into training as well, so we kind of paired up, just really our passion for training people.
So was that the story? I think you're referring. It's Harold, right? That story in
Yes.
the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that born out of, so it was an actual experience that Richard had. He just
Yes.
changed names and changed the industry.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we have this story, um, kind of inserted in the book. So people often ask, like, did that is that real? Is Richard the main character? And so yeah, the the book has like some supernatural elements to it that we weaved in just to make it entertaining and have that emotional connection. But the story of learning to go for no is yeah, that happened.
So supernatural elements. Talk a little
Yes.
bit more about that. That's an interesting. I like that. I just want to hear a little bit more about
Yeah.
that.
So what happens in the book is that and I was against this at first, but Richard is like, "No, we need to make this like let's make this a bit this is a business parable." It's we call it a fable sometimes, business parable. This guy goes to bed. He's an average salesperson. Like you meet him, you meet his wife, you kind of get his life very quickly, understand who he is. He goes to bed one night. He wakes up the next morning, but he's in this fantastic house and he doesn't know where he is. And he discovers very soon, very quickly, that it belongs to a wildly successful 10 years in the future version of him. So it's 10 years in the future. It's his house, wildly successful guy. And he is, of course, blown away. And one, how does he get back home? Like, where the heck is he? What happened? But two, if you can imagine what it would be like to meet a successful version of you in the future, you'd want to know how did you do it? Because the mediocre you, the average you would want to know what the secret is. And so we have these two main characters and they are kind of different. They are different characters. They talk and try to figure out like
Hmm.
what was the thing. And so that supernatural element, it's kind of funny. And this is the truth. We saw the movie The Sixth Sense like right when we were writing this book, and we were so obsessed with um the elements of supernatural fiction and stuff that was
Hmm.
one of the reasons why we incorporated it. But also Richard and I are both writers. Like we write fiction, we've written screenplays, so like we gravitate towards that stuff. So it was fun to be able to write a business book and incorporate some fiction.
I love that aspect of it. And just as you were talking, I thought of a quote that I think it was Matthew McConaughey. That like he goes at 15, I was asked, who my hero is.
Mm.
He goes, it's me in 10 years.
Yes, I so
And
good.
it, that's sort of what you were just saying, right? Because my life in 10 years is going to be almost directly the result of my actions over those 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of what the story's showing. You could take one set of actions, here's your life. Take another set of actions, here's your life.
Yeah. So
And
totally. We talk a lot about, and we're talking more and more about this actually. Our work has evolved and changed over doing this for like literally, we've been doing this for 25 years. I feel so old. I have to remind myself, like, you did start young, so don't don't freak out. But our work has evolved, and one of the things that we're talking about more and more, and one of my favorite quotes is by James Clear, which is every action you take is a vote for the person that you want to become, and or something like that. And so really Go for No is about adopting an identity of an asker, of just somebody who courageously asks when you don't know what the answer is, or you want to, whether it's asking for the sale or asking someone on a date, or just asking for a better table. It's just having that identity of, you know what, I'm someone who doesn't say no to myself. I ask.
this always happens.
What is it?
I'm getting a little bit emotional right now. Like
Oh,
my
that's
eyes
okay.
are sort of welling up with tears. And I know I'm not unique, right? I spent a lot of my life afraid of rejection, afraid of no, afraid of people not liking me. And for me, it took me down a very dark path. I'm in recovery for alcoholism and addiction. That was the only way I could kind of deal with those
Mhm.
emotions. And being in sales, rejection is just something you deal with every day. And it was very hard for me to recover because that was the only way I knew how to deal with it. But it was so connected when I finally connected, like, I have the opportunity to overcome these things, but like, I have to do this in every area. So
Right.
work and hearing rejection really taught me like it's okay. And it actually built this incredibly successful career pretty quickly when I just made it my mindset. For me, it started with I was in medical device sales. I go, I just want 3 surgeons to tell me no today. That is my goal.
Mhm.
If 3 surgeons tell me no, at the end of the day, I'm gonna give myself a high five. I'm gonna look in the mirror and say, "Great day today." And again, it's just I'm a little bit emotional because it's just funny. Now life has me talking to someone who's built an entire mission and career off this same exact principle.
And you know what? I say this all the time. I couldn't be teaching this, and Richard says it too. Like, we could never teach this material if we didn't have this as our huge issue as well. I kind of joke with him. I make fun of him sometimes because he'll say we'll be talking about something that we want to do, and he'll be like, "Yeah, but we gotta go to this guy and we gotta ask this," and I'm like,
Uh,
"Hey, we're the go for no people. Like, come on, we got to do this." But seriously, like, I remember the moment that I realized that asking was my issue. I was in a bookstore. I was in college. I think I was like a freshman or something going to community college. And I remember seeing this book, and it said, it was called The Aladdin Factor. But the marketing, I feel like the marketing was like, how to get everything in life you want. And I was like, yeah, how do I get everything in life I want? What is this? What's the secret? And it was like, the secret is asking. And I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, you can do that?" Because I didn't really grow up in a house where my dad is very analytical. He's a like genius mathematician. He was in the Air Force, pilot.
wow.
Um, and my mom's not a bit. My mom is she was kind of a stay-at-home mom, not a business person. And so I didn't really learn that asking was a thing. It was kind of like, be polite, be a good girl, and if somebody is going to give you something, they will. Like, earn it. Earn getting it. Don't go out there and be knocking on doors and don't ask. And so when Rich told like when he shared that Go for No story with me, I was like, yes, like this is the answer. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I feel like this is the thing that has held me back too, was asking, and also the rejection. I had some really like meaningful, stupid rejections when you think about it, but meaningful ones, like just real quick, and then I'll be quiet because I want you to respond. But one of the biggest ones was in high school. I wanted to join this club. I went through the interview. It was like popular girls, and um I lived in a very affluent community, and we were literally the poorest people there, like so poor that we were getting evicted out of houses like all the time. It was chaotic. But I wanted to join this club, and I went and interviewed, and then they put the list on the door of who they were letting in, and my name wasn't on that list. And TJ, I was like, you know what? Then screw these people. I'm not going to join anything. And so that rejection like really made me take a right turn, and I got involved in kind of a not so good crowd because I just decided that if I wasn't wanted there, then I would I wouldn't try harder. It didn't make me try harder. It made me just separate. And so I guess that's why I'm so passionate about this.
I can totally relate to that because we're all kind of shaped by our experiences, and I could call them like micro rejections that happened as a kid in
Mhm.
high school and whatnot that just it gave me this like deathly fear. This it almost seemed like equated with death. Like if I go there and they reject me, like I don't want to feel like what that makes me feel. And there's
Mm.
a deeper psychological component that I think your book though simply can kind of just help people address a lot of those things, right? Because fear of rejection and failure, it's not unique to you and I. I
Mhm.
used to think it was, and then luckily I had a good mentor. He was like, "You're not terminally unique. Like you're just like everybody else." And my wife reminds me, like, I used to be deathly afraid of public speaking. She's like, "So am I, but I just do it. Like I have to do it. My job sometimes requires me to speak in front of people.
Mm.
So I just get up and do it. Like you make it this like me, like this big deal in your head, like, oh my God, nobody feels we all feel that way.
Yeah.
It, so there's a quote in the book. What is it? Failure is the halfway mark to success.
Mhm.
I think. Did I get that right?
Probably. I trust you. I haven't read it in a while. That sounds like something we would say though.
So when did you because Richard told you that story, and then it
Yeah.
sounds like you started to apply it. Was there like a eureka moment, like, "Oh my god, this really does work." You've kinda talked to like, was there like an actual moment though where you're like, this is it?"
Yeah, I mean, I applied it at LensCrafters because even though I was a general manager, like, I would still wanna model sales behavior and model
Mhm.
going for no, and I remember, um, working with this older woman and, one of the things salespeople love to do is, project what they think people are gonna decide and spend and all that kinda stuff and come up with all the stories, and I remember working with this woman and I thought, "Wait a minute, no, I need to go for no here, and I need to not." I realized in the moment what I was doing. I was kinda manipulating and deciding what I thought this customer would buy, and in my head, I was doing her this great service, but really what I was doing was protecting myself from getting a no and from getting rejected. So it was this weird thing, and I realized, like, "Andrea, you're doing this all wrong. Tell her all the options and let her decide." That was, like, one little micro, eureka moment there where I
Mhm.
realized, like, all the kind of games that I would play when I was selling instead of just having the courage to ask. And then I really learned go for no when we started our business because we had no clients, we had no idea what we were doing. I was cold calling headquarters of companies asking to send them materials, following up with them, and it was such a numbers game, and I was kind of forced into the deep end to just sink or swim, and it was hard. I mean, it was really hard. I really had to learn to get over stuff, but the crazy part for me was we were teaching this thing, but I also was getting better at the thing we were teaching because I was forced to do it as we were trying to get clients. So it was like this total meta process of teaching people how to get over rejection and getting over rejection yourself as you go.
That's how it works, right? You just kinda do it before you feel ready. So some people listening to this might not necessarily be in sales, but I think there's a lot of value in this for anyone. Any suggestions for people who don't have a career where they're constantly asking for business, but maybe can practice this in their everyday lives?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that we teach is to just create a no awareness and look for the opportunities where you may be telling yourself no, where it's an opportunity to ask. It is a life philosophy, and I'll tell you in part why we believe that, well, and what we did about it. So, during the pandemic, we decided to create this 21-day Go for No challenge workbook, and we created this tracking sheet. We're old school, so I love to have everything in writing. Like, if it's on my phone, I'm gonna forget about it. So this is like a nice 8.5 by 11 workbook. It's got the tracking sheet, and we have 2 kinds of no's that you can get. You can get business no's, or you can get personal no's. And sometimes people think personal no's means like a rude no, right? Like you're going to say something personal to somebody. No, what it means is you may not be in business or selling, but it means like what are the asks that you're making that are personal? What are the things that you want to, maybe it's some asking something of your spouse or of a neighbor or of a friend. And so we encourage people when they're doing a go for no challenge is don't just do the business no's, like really create that no awareness and look for the opportunities, because if you are somebody who's trying to change your identity from non-asker to asker, from non-courageous or fearful to somebody who asks with courage, it's got to be like in everything, right? We don't want it to just be in business. We want it to be in your personal life as well. So it takes some practice, as you said. I love that word. It is a practice because you just have to be open. There's so many times where I have recognized later after a situation passed, I go like, "Oh, I should have asked for that." Renting a car or something and wanting some feature or wanting, and then I walk away and I go like, "Oh, why didn't I ask for, the upgrade to Sirius XM?" Or, whatever it is, those things are out there all the time. And a lot of times we have the habit of just shutting that down. Like, don't ask. It'll be awkward. You'll look like you'll look, and I definitely have some strategies for how to ask, um, and how to do it in a way that it doesn't feel cringy and horrible and all that, but also you've gotta just sometimes embrace the awkwardness. Like, you really have to just love the awkwardness and love to fail. I remember I decided one time we were shopping at a Walmart and I thought, "You know what? I haven't been practicing go for no enough. I'm gonna make an ask that's so ridiculous because I just need to feel I need to get out of my comfort zone." So we're at the checkout at Walmart, which you is about as cheap as you can get. And I asked the lady, I'm like, "Hey, are there any like coupons or discounts?" And she looked at me. She was really kind of annoyed. She goes, "You're at Walmart." I go, "Okay, sorry. I just thought I'd ask." Because I just wanted to, like, put myself out there again, you know? Sometimes we just play things so safe, it becomes a bad habit.
So you had talked about a little bit earlier as far as you had this vision, you and Richard had this vision and what you wanted to do, but it's like now you just have to start taking action. And I imagine as you're taking action, that inner critic was probably pretty strong early on. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, you know what's weird is, I guess the truth both of us, Richard and I both say this, we honestly didn't believe we were gonna be successful. We were so out of our depth, and I tell him all the time, I'm like, "We had no pedigree in terms of like, oh, we went to an Ivy League school or USC or whatever." We we didn't have any pedigree in terms of, oh, and we were vice presidents of I mean, we were
Mhm.
pretty low on the totem pole in terms of like executive careers. So really, like, what did we have? And we had some talent, but all we were left with really was our willingness to just, like, do something completely nuts. And so for the first 6 months, um, I didn't really have any inner critic thing.
Mm.
I was so like, "This is so crazy, this is not gonna work." So I have nothing. I, like, had nothing to lose. It was just like we thought, "Let's just give this a shot in 6 months, let's work as hard as we can, we're probably gonna fail, we're probably gonna go back and get jobs." That was, like, the plan. And we almost did. I mean, we were getting so close. We had money on the credit cards. We didn't have any clients for the first 4 months. And then we got our first client, which is a go for no story over and um putting that aside, I think I got more scared and the inner critic when we actually started to be successful. And
Mm.
then I started to go like it was kind of like once I had something to lose, then I was starting to like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?" You know? You don't know how to talk to these executives. So then I really had to work on it and try and constantly just battle the fear. And one of the things too, I wanted to just touch on this, TJ, is that I'm really into the idea that fear is biology and rejection is biology, and that we are hardwired in our DNA to not get thrown out of the tribe, to not have people reject us. And so when I start feeling fearful, I really think about the biology that's going on. I think about my voice shaking, my hands sweating, and I think this is the fear response that my brain is programmed to do. It has nothing to do with reality, and I just let it pass through me. I just feel it, let it pass through me because I know that that's just not the reality. That's just my brain acting like we're back in caveman times and we're not because the brain hasn't caught up. And I find that with rejection, and I find that with fear of failure and fear of rejection, all of it, all of the social fears. That is just your brain protecting you. So that was like a big thing. But I did have that inner critic. It just took a while. It just took a while for that inner critic to finally go like, "Oh, don't lose what you guys have built." And I still
Wow.
suffer from that, by the way. Still, like, yeah.
There was a golden nugget, at least for me, that I picked up early in that response. And it was something that I learned as well. So there's a lot of, not there's anything wrong with any of this, a lot of like inspirational material out there about changing your beliefs and like the law of attraction and believing you'll be successful. And I tried that for years and years and years. And I just kept on the merry-go-round of not really changing my life. And what she said was she did not believe it was going to work, but she kept taking action. And I've had a very similar experiences in a lot of areas of my life that uh, faith and belief doesn't necessarily lead to results. It's action that does.
Hmm.
And it's kind of what we were talking about that at the beginning of this conversation. Your life in 10 years is going to pretty much be the result of the actions that you took over these 10 years. And I used to sit there and like try to change my internal state, but then I just go out and take the same actions I always took. When to go do a sales call, I'd have to listen to this inspirational video, be like, okay, I'm going to go do this right now. And then I'd do it and I have the dopamine rush. And then I'd be like, okay, so I just have to go listen to another video right now to have that faith again? Or no, faith comes after the action. It's kind of backwards of how I always thought it was. And the other thing at the end there, because I'd like to hear how you deal with this. I agree. It certainly is a biological response wired in the brain. Do you have anything aside from just taking the action anyway, anything you do to try to calm that response and change your brain a little bit in the moment when that is happening?
Yeah, well, some of the things I do are weird. Some of them, like one of the things I say a lot. This is weird. I don't think I've ever shared this with anyone. I always say like, well, we're gonna be dead a long time, so we're gonna be dead a long, long time. So this is whatever temporary thing we've got. We're worried about. It doesn't matter. Richard and I also say, and this is it sounds very nihilistic, I guess. We always say, like, nothing matters. So it's just do it. Like, just embrace the embarrassment and the fear and all of that. To me, that's, like, very calming. I also try to remember, like, uh, I also see everyone, this is another weird technique. I see everyone at the age of 8. So I think, like, everybody's 8 years old. Everybody's, like, they just wanna be liked, they wanna have fun, they just wanna have some joy in their lives, and when you perceive people like that, they're not as scary, right? They're just not as scary.
I'm glad you said that out loud. We are very, very similar. I can relate to all that. I remember telling someone again in my medical device sales days with someone I was working with. We were going into some seemingly really important meeting, and I said something along those same lines. Like, well, the good news is we're gonna die at some point, so this really doesn't matter. He's like, you know what? You're actually right.
Yeah.
And like I think that all the time. Like I'm just like, "Oh, I'm more dead today than I was yesterday, so I might as well just try to do something." Like
Yes. Yeah. And then the more you do that, the more you just go like and then you start to be successful because you start trying more stuff works, and yeah, it's weird. Weird how it happens.
and then it leads to gratitude too. Like I am here
Mm.
though. For some reason, I'm 38 years old. I don't know where I was before these 38 years, but for some reason I'm here right now, so I might as well try to get something done.
Exactly. Yeah, make it interesting.
And so I don't feel like that's that weird. I mean, it sounds weird, and I don't really say it out loud either that often, but probably a lot more people think along these lines than we realize.
I think you're right, and you said something about, like, all the motivational stuff, and so when I say weird, it's like yeah, it's like nobody says this on motivational tapes because the motivational stuff is supposed to be uplifting and encouraging, and some of it sounds really negative, right? Ultimately, it's for I think a lot of people, it's actually freeing, as you said, your example, your story with that meeting. You know, it's designed to be freeing, but when you say that to some people, it's like, wow, that's really negative. We're all gonna die. That's really negative. Yeah, but it's true. So you use it for good.
What is the best thing that ever happened to you in your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, maybe this is obvious. I mean, for me, the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was meeting my husband, for sure. Like, we are just complete and total soulmates. We work together. We're life partners, business partners. We call ourselves a 24/7 couple. I'm sure there's some books that would say we've got mental problems and we've got boundary issues, and I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, but yeah, no, that was completely life-changing. So
What's the worst thing that ever happened to you in life?
God, let's see. Um, Gosh, that's so hard, and I'll tell you why. but I certainly can tell you, I will come up with something, because there's a flip side to everything, right? If there's a, I can't remember the name of the law, um, but there's a law that like literally for all darkness, there's light, in the universe. For every reaction, there's an equal reaction. So if you believe that that the universe has balance in all things, that even the things that are the worst things that happen to you, there's a goodness or there's something of value, as twisted as it may seem. And so, I guess that probably the worst thing that ever happened to me, um, was I've had some physical challenges, but the worst thing was, our cat got into something. We took him on vacation. We rented this house for 3 months. We were on this, it was gonna be like this amazing sabbatical, and I don't know what happened, but he got really violently ill, and I had to watch him. We raced down the hill to go to the vet, and I had to watch him suffer, and watching anything
Mm.
you love suffer it was just heartbreaking. I don't like watching stories about kids and animals. Kids and animals, I just can't handle suffering. I had to see my cat suffer, so that was probably the worst. I'd rather suffer myself than see I've seen that.
Mm. Sorry to hear that. Mm. My, my wife is one of the biggest, like, animal and nature lovers, and I used to sort of like I've always liked animals and all that, but I used to think it was ridiculous as we back up to the woods and we'd put food out, like, we got, like, all these animals coming up to our back porch every night, and if it rains, she goes out and saves worms that are on the cement, and, when it stops raining, she'll go put them back in the dirt, and 2 days ago, I was in a parking lot, and it had rained, and I see all these worms, and I get a stick, and I'm picking up all these worms with the stick and putting them in the dirt, and, like, I started to see it like, I used to think it was ridiculous, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? We're spending all this money on these animals," and again, kinda like you said, there's a darkness and a light to everything. It flipped, like, I started to see my wife really I'm like, "Look at how much care and love that she has for where we live, like, for our home."
Hmm,
She'll go and just pick up trash and, like, all these just, like, just it's incredible, and I wouldn't call my wife, like, spiritual in the traditional sense, but I'm like, she's one of the most spiritual people I know. So it just, again, aligns with what you were just saying. There's 2 ways to look at everything,
mm.
and I don't think you're negative at all. You're actually one of the most positive people I know with everything you're saying, right? You're looking at everything in a positive lens.
Mm.
If there's one piece of wisdom that you could share with the world, if you
Mm.
were to die tomorrow, so let's go back on the death theme.
Right.
What would you want your last message to be to the world?
Hmm. Well, I'm obsessed with Go for No, so it'd probably be some
I
kind of message about having the courage to ask. But even before that, I think there's something important that I see a lot of people, especially women, who forget, and I'll put myself in this category. I've gotten better over the years, through working on myself, but sometimes we forget like what it is we really want. We just live and live and live, and it's like before you even start asking, figure out what is it that you really want to have happen? What do you really want out of life? And then that guides the next steps. And the people that I see who struggle the most, I don't know that they've really defined that. So I think that would be the little piece of advice or wisdom, is really sit back and say, "Wait a minute. Let me define exactly what that is."
That's great advice that it's actually making me think right now, so you're gonna have me reflecting all day today because I don't know if I can honestly answer that. I mean, I can honestly answer it, I just don't know what the answer is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it changes, right? It changes as you age and grow and circumstances change, which is fine, but just like have that in mind, because sometimes,
Well,
we can live on into other people's. One of my favorite books is by John Maxwell called "Put Your Dream to the Test," and one of the first things he talks about in that book, I think it's number one. He has like 12 questions or 10 or 12 questions about how to put your dream to the test. And the first one is your dream your dream? Or are you like, did you get programmed by a parent or a teacher for this dream? And I just always thought that was so true because sometimes we live other people's dreams and when we sit back, we really think about what do we
Mm.
want?
It's on my list. John
Well,
Maxwell, put your dreams to the test. Well, I really appreciate this. Everyone out there, will you please go buy this book? And I asked it that way because if you're not going to, you can say no, and both of us can get a no right now and count that as a win for the day. And also, what else? What other services do you offer? Because I think this can help a lot of people. What other services or value add can you provide anyone that's listening to this?
so from a sales standpoint, I mean, we've got all kinds of books on Amazon. We've got Go for No, the sequel. We've got a book called When They Say No. We've got our Go for No challenge book. And right now, actually, TJ, we're rebuilding our Mastering Go for No program. We're calling
Okay.
it the Go for No Rejection Training System and literally rebuilding it from the ground up, new content and visuals and stuff. It's going to be really cool. So I'm excited about that. But always just love to connect with people. So you type in Go for No, you will find me.
She sure does. I just sent a random message on LinkedIn, and then I, in spite of being afraid, asked her to come on this podcast. I was practicing what she taught me and
Yeah,
is continuing to teach me.
it's great.
And I thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hope you have the best day of your life today. Why not?
Absolutely. Thank you, TJ. Yeah, why not? Thank you.